Thank you for joining us, Representative Allred. Just want to hear your thoughts on Eddie Bernice Johnson.
Yeah, well, she was a friend and a mentor. She was a leader. I think she was a trailblazer. I think she really defined what it means to be a trailblazer. She was so many firsts, it's almost hard to list them all. The first registered nurse to ever be elected to Congress, first Black woman from Dallas to be elected to Congress, the first woman to chair the House Committee on Science, Space, and Technology. I mean, she just did so many things. There will never be another EBJ. And we are so lucky to have her represented us for so long here.
So let me ask you this: when you set about doing your job, when you, as a representative in Congress, when you think of her, how do you emulate her?
Yeah, well, she had a talent for getting things done and for working with folks who you might think you couldn't find common ground with. And that's something that I've always tried to learn from her and emulate, which is that she was interested in what was best for Dallas, what was best for North Texas, what was best for the country first, and what was best for her second or last. I mean, she often didn't even take credit for some of the biggest accomplishments that she had. And it really wasn't until I got to Congress myself that I understood just how much she had already done for our region. And her fingerprints are all over our community in terms of transportation, in terms of infrastructure investments, in terms of advancements in science and technology and bringing home research dollars to North Texas. She was responsible for so much of that.
You said that she often didn't take credit. Why do you think that was?
Well, I think it was just her personality. She didn't mind, sort of working behind the scenes and getting projects across the finish line. And I think she took so much enjoyment just in seeing good work being done, as opposed to maybe drawing all the credit for herself. And I think that was to her credit. It's the type of thing that as a former athlete, I always appreciated those teammates that you have who make that block that allows that running back to score a touchdown. Those are the folks who make it possible for us to provide for our community, to try and bring home the resources to do some of the important things we know have to be done, to provide a role model for how you should behave in public service and in public life. And I think in many ways, that's exactly what she was.
What do you think were her biggest accomplishments here in Dallas?
Well, as I said, I think that her fingerprints are all over our community. If you're talking about infrastructure, whether it's the light rail or the station that I think appropriately named after her, the Eddie Bernice Johnson station downtown. She's just so responsible for so much of what we've seen here in our community that's allowed us to, I think, set the stage for us to really have the infrastructure to handle the growth that we've experienced. But there's some things that most folks don't know that she's done, particularly in the science and technology area. She worked really hard to pass the CHIPS and Science Act, which is one of the most important, I think, pieces of legislation that we've passed in recent years in the Congress, because it's going to put us on the front foot in terms of bringing back high-tech manufacturing to our country, but also to train the next generation of workers in those areas. And she was also always really focused on increasing the diversity in clinical trials to make sure that when we're talking about new medications that are coming online, new therapies, new treatments, that it could help everyone in our communities. And she was someone who had a laser focus on making sure that that happened. And we could just keep going on and on and on because she has so many accomplishments. But they're all around us. When you look around Dallas, you'll see Eddie Bernice Johnson's fingerprints.
Tell me about the first time you met her.
Well, I met her doing voting rights work. I was in 2014 trying to help register voters, help voters comply with our voting laws here in Texas. And I met her through that. And I was not an elected official. I was nobody. And she was incredibly kind to me. And it was something that I think was of interest to her too, to make sure that every eligible Texan could cast their ballot. And when I told her that I was running for Congress, I think that she was probably a little skeptical at first, but she became one of my, biggest and most vocal supporters. And that was a big deal for her because it meant going against, a colleague who she had served with for some time here in the Dallas area. And so I really, I've always appreciated her. I always came to her for advice. She knew the beginning of pretty much every issue that we've ever faced in North Texas. She could tell you how it started. She's one of those people who was sort of a keeper of the knowledge, if you will. And if you want to know how did we get in this position on something, you could always go ask her.
With the CHIPS Act, I read that one of the things she did was she ensured that there was funding for historically black colleges and universities.
Yeah.
How critical do you think that is?
Well, she was the chairwoman of the Science and Technology Committee. And I think she was always focused on equity, always focused on making sure that the opportunities that we create at the federal level and around the country are accessible to everyone, to every American. And I think she understood that because of her own experience. Because when she grew up in Waco and she wanted to become a nurse, she had to leave our state. She wanted to go to Baylor, but she had to leave our state to go get trained as a nurse because of discrimination. And she came back to be a nurse at the Dallas VA hospital and ended up rising through the ranks and becoming incredibly important there. But she understood, what those barriers that had been in her way, what they had done, and she'd overcome them, but she didn't want them to be as high for the next generation. And I appreciate that about her because in many ways, I think I'm in the United States Congress because of folks like Congresswoman Johnson, because she broke down those doors and broke down those barriers.
Thank you. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's it. She was a great Texan. I think Texas has lost a giant. In some ways, we won't, I think, really know until years from now just how important she was. But I hope a really good book is written about it someday.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Representative Allred, and I hope you have a good start to your new year. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you. Bye-bye.